This is Serena Kozakura. Serena was in court after her boyfriend and another witness claimed that the 38-year-old bikini model kicked a hole in the door and then squeezed through to enter the apartment in a bid to catch him with another woman. Kozakura was sentenced to 14 months in prison for trespassing and willful destruction of property, but the Japanese model appealed the ruling at a Tokyo High Court. What happened during the trial is where things get very interesting. During the appeal hearing, her attorneys brought the broken door to the court to prove that Kozakura couldn't have possibly sneaked into the house through the hole in the door. This is Kozakura showing the court that she couldn't have sneaked into the house through the hole in the door because of her boobs. The unusual defense seemed to work. Apparently, size matters. The hole that Kozakura allegedly kicked in and sneaked through was only 28.3 by 8.7 inches, which was far too small for her to crawl through because of her enormous bust, which is way more than 40 inches. After her defense team had successfully proved that she couldn't sneak inside the house through the hole, the presiding judge, Kunio Harada, threw out the guilty verdict. After the ruling, a delighted Kozakura told the press that her bust won the case for her. She stated that she has always hated her body because her bust is too big, but that the bust saved her and justice prevailed. If you think Kozakura's defense was outrageous, you don't know about Jonathan Schmitz. This is Jonathan Schmitz. Jonathan was a regular guy who lived in Michigan. He was informed that somebody had a crush on him and agreed to meet the person on the Jenny Jones Show, one of the popular talk shows then. Jonathan appeared on the show in March 1995 and was waiting for the big reveal.
It was about 6 months after he and his longtime girlfriend had broken up. So he goes to the show thinking who was going to be the secret admirer.
Actually, his secret admirer wasn't exactly a woman, but rather 32-year-old Scott Amador, a gay acquaintance who was introduced to him by a mutual friend. During the show, Jonathan appeared flattered, laughed off the admiration, and played along. But underneath, Jonathan was seething. This is Jonathan Schmitz on the show laughing with Amador.
Well, guess what? It's Scott that has the crush on you.
You lied to me.
3 days after the show, Jonathan came back home and saw a note, presumably from Amador. This is where the armless story takes a violent turn. Jonathan saw the note and became enraged, took his gun, went and bought bullets, loaded them, drove to Amador's house, and killed him. That seemed to appease him because he called the police and confessed to the killing.
Okay, why did you do that?
The trial got even more disturbing. In court, Jonathan didn't deny that he killed Amador. Instead, he argued that his actions were caused by diminished capacity, caused by the embarrassment he suffered on the talk show and the shock of discovering the note. Despite the evidence of the premeditation, which made him responsible for a first-degree murder charge, the jury bought his gay panic defense and only found him guilty of second-degree murder.
On the murder, second degree, 25 to 50 years. On the felony firearm, 2 years. Those sentences are to be served consecutive.
Jonathan was sentenced to 25 to 50 years in prison and was released on parole in 2017. Although the shocking gay panic defense has since been banned in California, the idea was wild, but not nearly as wild as the case of Ethan Couch.
Ethan and his mother, you can run, but you're always going to be looking over your shoulder. We're not going to give up.
This is Ethan Couch. In 2013, at just 16 years old, Ethan killed 4 people in Burleson, Texas, while driving under the influence. He might not have killed anyone if he had been speeding on the highway. However, Ethan was speeding illegally in a residential area with a restricted license, wasted, and under the influence of drugs. Apart from the 4 people that died when he plowed into a group assisting another driver with his truck, he injured around 9 people, with 1 completely paralyzed. Ethan was arrested and promptly charged with 4 counts of intoxication manslaughter and 2 counts of intoxication assault. The charges will get him a maximum of 20 years in prison if convicted.
That he's still a kid or juvenile is gone. It expired at 12 o'clock Monday. He's now an adult. He needs to be treated like one.
Ethan's defense in court is what makes this case even more crazy. Tarrant County prosecutors were positive that they had a solid case. However, like everyone else following the trial, they were shocked when Ethan's defense blamed his reckless actions on affluenza, a combination of affluence and influenza. The lawyers claimed that his parents' wealth prevented him from realizing that his actions have consequences, and that he was raised to believe wealth buys privilege. The lawyers pointed out a series of misdemeanors that the teenage Ethan had committed, for which there were no consequences. The lawyers must have been pretty convincing because the defense worked. Although the trial was closed to the public, Judge John Hudson Boyd agreed with the defense. Instead of the 20 years in jail the prosecution team was asking for, Ethan was sentenced to 10 years parole, sent to a high-end rehabilitation facility, and ordered to stay away from driving, alcohol, and drugs. Ethan's attorney's affluenza defense was indeed shocking, but wait till you hear about the sexsomnia defense. 33-year-old Ludicky lives in Canada and allegedly does strange things in his sleep. At a house party in Toronto, a woman woke up to see a stranger having sex with her. This is the woman narrating what happened, how she felt.
We went to bed around 2:30. My friends accommodated us and set up an air mattress in their kitchen. And I fell asleep. And the next thing I know, I woke up in pain, and I put my hand behind me to feel where the pain was coming from. And that's when I realized that I was being assaulted.
The man was Ludicky, and he was charged with sexual assault. Ludicky and the woman had been drinking during the party and had fallen asleep on the sofa. During his trial, Ludicky stated that he had no recollection of having sex with anybody. He told the court that he didn't know he had sexually assaulted someone until he woke up in the bathroom and saw himself wearing a condom. But Dr. Colin Shapiro testified that Ludicky had a history of parasomnia, a condition in which people do strange things in their sleep. Yes, people have been known to do strange things in their sleep, but it mostly involves walking, talking, or eating. Rape was a whole new thing. Clearly, for Ludicky, sleep sex is one of the symptoms of his parasomnia. Dr. Shapiro told the court that he tested Ludicky, and his brain scans showed parasomnia symptoms. The doctor stated that parasomnia could be triggered by alcohol, stress, or drugs. Ludicky had been drinking during the party, so the defense made sense. This is where things get disturbing. The court agreed that Ludicky's actions were involuntary, but not due to a mental disorder, and Ludicky was acquitted. Although the state appealed the case, Ludicky prevailed. The sexsomnia defense that proved innocence is shocking enough, but that's not even close to the concerning sexual acts and shocking defense that was witnessed in the trial of Heather Specialski.
She was hysterical when she said, "I killed my baby, I killed my baby." That's what she was screaming on the phone. What kind of animal is she? She's a monster.
This is Heather Specialski. Heather was arrested in November 2000 for manslaughter after her boyfriend died in a car crash. During the trial, the court heard from 60 witnesses and saw more than 400 exhibits. The prosecution team insisted that Heather had been driving at the time of the accident. Surprisingly, her defense agreed, but pointed out that she was engaged. It turned out that during the road trip, the deceased boyfriend had requested oral sex, and Heather, being that girlfriend, gave in to his request. If she was under any illusion about the accuracy of her multitasking, it was cleared that day. She couldn't combine pleasuring the boyfriend and driving. Actually, nobody can. That's why there are motels and lodges. Heather's attempt at multitasking resulted in an accident and the death of her boyfriend. When the paramedics arrived, they found the boyfriend thrown from the car with his trousers and underwear around his ankles. The paramedics' testimonies and her defense team's doggedness ensured that Heather, who could have gone to jail for second-degree manslaughter with a motor vehicle, and misconduct with a motor vehicle, was acquitted of all charges. So apparently, Heather Specialski just couldn't get enough of that second-degree manslaughter charge. She was acquitted back in 2004, but now she's back in court facing the same charge again, and even more charges in connection with her son's death. I guess you could say she's really committed to her work. Let's just hope she doesn't make a career out of it. Just when you think you've seen and heard it all, we learn about the Matrix defense used by the attorneys of Tonda Ansley. This is 48-year-old Tonda Lynn Ansley. The Ohio resident shot her landlord Sherry Lee Corbett 3 times, killing her. The murder occurred in broad daylight and was witnessed by several people. Ansley believed that Sherry Lee was part of a conspiracy and brainwashing. For Ansley, the world is an illusion manipulated by our machine overlords, not unlike in the movie Matrix. In the Matrix movie, humanity was controlled by machines who blurred the lines between reality and dreams. When she brought this idea up in court, things got crazy. Ansley accused her landlady and 3 others, including her husband, of controlling her mind and blurring her ability to tell the difference between dreams and reality. The police confirmed that she planned on killing these people too. Like Neo, the lead character of The Matrix, Ansley believed it was her duty to rebel against these machine overlords and insisted that she was justified to do it because they committed many crimes in The Matrix. In May 2003, a judge approved the insanity plea from Ansley's defense. The prosecutors had no issue with this, as they believed she was suffering